Welcome to Fortress of Faith with Tom Wallace, calling North America to repentance and revival.
Welcome back once again to the Corner of Truth and Courage. You're listening to Fortress of Faith. This is Tom Wallace. Well, today I'm going to lay into my thoughts about what's going on in the Middle East with the United States and Iran and the war over there. We've come to a point what we call the Memorandum of Understanding. And so I want to share with you my views, some insights, some things that you're not aware of probably that I believe will be beneficial if you'll stay with us and hear it. But before I get into that, let me play a short little clip. I think this was smuggled out. It's on the internet. This was done by a U.S. soldier. He recorded a Muslim chaplain in the United States Army who is teaching soldiers about the real Islam, the real teachings of Islam, trying to set the record straight, so to speak. Meanwhile, as you will hear, he is lying through his teeth about what Islam teaches. Now, he's going to talk about two things. Number one, he's going to address what Islam teaches about Jesus, that many Christians don't believe that Islam talks about Jesus. Well, it actually does, and he addresses that. Now, that part is true, but you need to understand the Muslim Jesus is completely different from the Jesus you and I know from the Bible. The Muslim Jesus, who they believe Jesus was a prophet of Allah, that he was a Muslim, and very clearly in the Quran, that Jesus was not the Son of God, that Jesus was not God, he was merely a man, and he didn't die on the cross, and he did not resurrect from the grave. And so that's a different Jesus altogether. But yes, Islam teaches about Jesus, but that wasn't my issue. What he gets into next, as you'll hear in a moment, he starts talking about a verse in the Quran. He's trying to suggest that in Islam, you're free to believe whatever you want. We have the freedom of religion in Islam. No one, in fact, there's a verse in the Quran he quotes that there is no compulsion in religion. No one is going to be made to believe one way or another. You know, you got your way and that's going to be fine with Allah. Folks, that's a lie. And I'll show you the verses in a moment, but let's hear what he had to say first. Here we go.
There's a lot of people, they have questions about Islam, about Muslims, but they have not felt comfortable enough to ask those pertinent questions that may come up for them. I've heard that we as Muslims don't believe in Jesus. Who's heard that before? Yeah, well, I know that's a popular teaching. Yeah, those Muslims, they don't believe in Jesus. That is not true. He is mentioned more in the Quran than even the Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings of God be upon them both. By name, Jesus is mentioned 25 times. Who has heard that there are Muslims in the world that force people to convert? Who's heard that before? Yeah, I've heard it before as well. Is that true? Does it happen? Yes, it does. It does happen. Now, is that in alignment with what God says in the Quran? No, it does not. It clearly says there is no compulsion in the deen. In the religion, you cannot compel. You can't compel people. You can't force people. God has given us the freedom of choice, the free will to either believe in him or not to believe in him, to either adhere to his commands or to rebel against him. That is our choice. In other words, you do you and I do me.
All right. Well, again, as he said, he talked about Jesus. And again, that Muslim Jesus is not the same Jesus as our Jesus. Yeah, they teach about Jesus. No issue there. But the big issue, the lie he's trying to sell us, and by the way, they're obligated, Muslims are obligated to lie to the kuffar, that's you and me, the unbelievers, the infidels. And that's what he's doing. He's lying to them, us, and our soldiers, indoctrinating them with false teaching about their religion. Because, yeah, now it is true, there is a verse in the Quran that says there is no compulsion in religion. Yeah, it's truly there. However, he doesn't quote the verses that come after it. In Surah 929, a few chapters later, fight those who believe not in Allah, nor hold that forbidden which has been forbidden by Allah and his messenger, nor acknowledge the religion of truth. If you're not going to do these things, then we're going to fight you. We're going to be at war with you. Very clearly, Muhammad said, I've been commanded to war to fight those who will not acknowledge the religion of truth. If you don't submit to it, you're the enemy of Islam. Now, how can you have two different standards? One place it says no one should be made to believe, and then it tells you we're going to kill you if you don't believe. How do you justify that? Well, simple. Also in the Quran, it teaches a doctrine of abrogation. In other words, newer revelations can abrogate, annul, void, do away with older rules, older revelations. So in other words, Allah can change his mind. Okay, and here's the verse. None of our revelations do we abrogate or cause to be forgotten, but we substitute something better or similar. Knowest not that Allah hath power over all things? So in other words, we can abrogate, we can do away with stuff with something better. We can change the rules. It was a lie to just quote one verse that's been abrogated, that's been done away with. And I'm sure this imam knows that, knows these verses about fighting, and those verses came later in Muhammad's life, and so they stand. None of those verses can ever be abrogated. So, all right, well, I wanted to kind of expose a little bit of that to you today. Let's get into this Memorandum of Understanding. And I've been around for a little while now, and I don't think I've ever heard of this before, the Memorandum of Understanding. I guess maybe somewhere in history, these things have been done between nations and stuff there. I'm just not aware of it. What in the world is it? It's a bunch of hogwash. It's a bunch of nothing, is what it is. It's where both sides simply make an official statement to say, this is what we want. This is what we we want you to understand. This. These are our views. And then we state out our views. But it doesn't mean that no one's going to be obligated to them. It's not a treaty. It's not a surrender. It's not a ceasefire. It's nothing. But what is it really? What is it really? Okay, here's what it is really. I think Trump realizes the midterms are coming, and this war is unpopular in America. Much as they try to get the media to tell the truth, they won't. They're spinning it, and the price of oil and all that kind of stuff, they're going to bellyache and moan over that. And with the midterms coming, I think Trump has found an exit route, a way to get off out of this for the time being. And that's why they're upset with Israel, because Israel's still trying to sort out the issue that they have with Hezbollah, because they're still the ones getting hit. It would serve the Republican president right now if we could pause and bring a cessation to the issues over there. And so I think that's all that this is. Is Trump foolish enough to believe that these people would keep to an agreement? I don't think so. I'm sure he's got enough advisors to tell him the history. I mean, time and time again, Iran will sign an agreement, but even before the ink is dry, they'll go and break things. Or even after they've signed things, they're still chanting death to America, death to Israel. And that's exactly what happened. And just before this meeting got on the way in Switzerland, the President Pezeshkian said to they don't call it a parliament or Congress, I'm not sure what the term is there, but said to the elected officials there that we will never give up our right to a nuclear weapon. We will never give that up. And basically in the Memorandum of Understanding, they're actually stating that they're willing to do that they will do that. And so they've got an official document that they've signed in saying, we're going to give that up. Meanwhile, back home to the home team, the president of Iran is saying, we're never going to do that. That's what caused Trump to give a verbal lashing They're telling them to watch their mouth, telling him to watch his mouth, and that they're going to cease to exist. They're going to get hit harder than they ever have been hit. The drama is there. Now, is there any significant development to all this right now? I think there is. Here's the significant development that I see. For the first time, we have had the highest of the leadership of these nations, of the United States and Iran, in the same room. We've had two of the highest diplomats, the foreign diplomat, and one of the highest diplomats in government next to the president of Iran, to meet with the vice president of the United States. That is a huge, huge development. And so could there possibly come about from this an end to this war? Perhaps. I think we are seeing things that we never dreamed could occur. But do we trust them? Here's my view. No. The Bible puts it this way: can a leopard change his spots? And the answer to that question is no. I don't think you're ever going to have hope for Iran until the Islamic Republic is done away with in that country. And I don't think America should be the one that brings an end to this government. I'm hoping that the people will be able to rise up and fight for their own independence. I'm hoping that the government has been weakened enough through what Trump has done, and maybe this exit route is a good move for America and for Trump to get out of this for now, to see that the Strait of Hormuz is opened up. They've certainly been knocked back. Their ability to attack Israel and their neighbors and the United States has been desperately weakened. I think that America can come out of this with an advancement to our end in all this. And I don't think Iran will get a dime, because they're going to continue to break these understandings, these rules, or whatever it is that they're trying to sign. So I think that, yes, is it a victory for America? Partially, more so for us than it is certainly for Iran. Of course, Iran's not going to put it that way, are they? And neither will the press. You can guarantee that they're going to be anti-Trump on this. Yeah, I think America is definitely better off. Israel is going to be better off for what has happened. And I think that things will quiet down over there. But will it be an end? No. Can we trust Iran? Absolutely not. Again, as long as the Islamic Republic is in charge, we can't trust it. Well, the clock says we're going to have to stop here, folks. But as always, we're grateful for you joining us here today at Fortress of Faith. If you want to learn more about our ministry and insights on Islam and the Middle East, you can find that at our website, fortressoffaith.com, fortressoffaith.com. We hope you'll join us again tomorrow at the corner of truth and courage. God bless you.